2v2 in the previous game, but hover over the Aphelios, 1xn, perhaps just looking to stick to what he knows. And not only that, I mean, when you think about it, I think the rookie AD carries today have only played Aphelios, right? I think
true.
G2 only had Aphelios games earlier, and now 1xn is rocking his second Aphelios game of the day. The Neeko will join the draft again, which will now give FPX the opportunity to go Lucian Nami. So, where do we go as TT? Do you just go towards the Lulu and try and grit your teeth and just deal with the laning phase? Do you go towards the jungler? It has to be the Lulu, right?
Yeah, this is outright a meta read day. Like they get Lulu. They get Zeri Yuumi in game number 1 and just dominate because they got Zeri Yuumi. And game number 2 they get Lucian Nami, which also got stronger than I think it's ever been. Like it also got big buffs. It also just you literally one-shot people.
Yeah. So for clarity, the Echoes of Helia item. Now I can't recall what supports are rushing more, whether it's Mandate,
I think it's still Mandate
or whether it's
and
Echoes. Yeah. Either way, they function in very similar ways in terms of the operation of what they want to do for the Lucian, right? It's heal more, deal more damage. That's basically the end result. So we'll see what Chocho decides to rush, right? To go towards very quickly. But again, it still operates the exact same way. It's just some of the items have changed. And of course, don't forget, with the mythics being shuffled around and such, for Lucian, what you're seeing now is, you know, typically I've seen a little more Storm Razor rush into Gale Force, but sometimes you see it the other way around. But like we've kind of come to acknowledge with a lot of other items, Storm Razor rush is just a lot stronger than all of the other items on patch right now. So that into Storm Razor provides him with arguably an even harder 2-item spike than previous patches gone by of itemization. We flew through the bands kind of quickly, I feel like, and it's Ksante at the end of it, which is going to stand tall for TT, and the answer will immediately be the Gwen for Xioalaohu.
Yeah, oh, we get the Tristana locked in for Care as well. Kind of taking one of Ucal's kind of pocket picks against him. Looking for a lane bully to try and go in here.
Yeah, okay.
And Beichuan goes Kha'Zix. This feels like it's gonna be a messy game, Jamada. Like, look at the picks here. There's so much kill threat on both sides.
Yeah, so I really like this Kha'Zix pick here because I feel like you've always got, you know, assassination targets, right? Between double AD carry plus an army, you should always have someone to kill. I think the problem is going to be pre-6, where you've got 2 lanes which you can play around. Arguably 1 if you're only really looking at the mid lane, right? It depends on how you see the Lucian Nami matchup in the bottom side into Lulu Aphelios. I feel like even though Lucian Nami is quite strong, you can often go quite toe-to-toe. Beichuan on this Kha'Zix is going to need his lanes to kind of just stand tall and survive until he hits 6. That's when he can properly impact skirmishes a lot.
So Jamada, looking at these 2 compositions, how are you feeling for game number 2 when it comes to those laning phases? Is that going to be the window for shenanigans?
That's been a trend today. We've been coming into the games kind of late. And
yeah. But how? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, there's just been a lot of nonsense going on every time we come on screen. This time we had Chunk out, someone on TT. But yeah, go on. You were saying, how is...
Talk me through laning phases. How are we feeling on the matchups for TT?
So, I think for TT, topside matchup, it kind of sucks, right? Gwen has been a very, very strong answer to Ksante for as long as Ksante has been on patch since the start of the year. So I expect that Xioalaohu should have priority quite consistently up there. I think the top side, the mid lane, sorry, could be kind of interesting. I do wonder how the wave clear of Neeko early on is actually going to match up to generally just dealing with Tristana having sort of the auto shove from the E. So that could be a little bit volatile. I think down here is where things could be interesting. I know it's 4 champions that we all really dislike, and if Dracos, random shout, is watching the LPL right now, I'm sure he's disliking FPX in particular a little bit. Though I guess it got stronger, right? So who knows? But 1xn and yuyanjia on this Aphelios and Lulu should be able to just weather the storm, right? You can see they outrange the first couple of levels. It's kind of difficult for the Lucian Nami to actually trade back efficiently. It's at level 3 where things can get a little bit dicey, but even then, you know, the turn back trades are always really powerful for that duo down there. I think it can go either way. The level 1 looking like it's leaning, however, more into Lwx and Chocho's favor.
Yeah, and you know, once you win the first like trade or 2, or at least find the minion advantage the first trade or 2, it becomes very difficult for anyone to fight the level 2 spike, right? So I think 1xN and yuyanjia just kind of backing off from that potential spike out from Lwx Chocho, not wanting to give any advantages away for no reason. So Beichuan in the meantime pathing downwards, but that little sapling will spot him. Hacker hovering towards the mid lane here. Perhaps thinking that Beichuan was going to try and make a play towards Care. There we go, Beichuan now spotted on the sapling. That sapling nearly took the wolf, to be honest. Wait, oh, Care's going in onto Ucal, just gets rooted up immediately. I'm not sure he even won that trade, to be honest.
No, I don't think he did. And there's pots available as well from the side of Ucal now. Does Hacker? I don't think Hacker knows. And the thing is, you always have the isolated damage here, so this should go over.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So Beichuan gets the buff, gets his gromp, gets a chunk out of Hacker.
Just
and
wasted
quite happily walks away, yeah.
Yeah, so Hacker now, what you can do is try and move over and get top skull, but he did smite this one, so maybe he's just going to yield it and go and clear the rest of his camps. But definitely a big time investment to not really get anything out of it. And it's just Beichuan getting a full clear effectively for free, knows he can go and get that top skull as well. And given the pacing and the tempo of where Hacker is, where Beichuan is, and the fact that he's going to have smite again available, he could even look for an invade, right? Ucal has mid lane priority, has a biscuit, even though he's out of mana. And so does Hoya. Even Hoya can
shoving in,
so, yeah, this could be a pretty nasty invade. And again, Beichuan should win out because the isolation on the Q should just be
Hacker's
a little bit more than Hacker's
time.
Q. Yeah, it's gone. Great stuff.
I mean, Beichuan just gets everything. He gets a grab despite the presence, and then gets an invade off the back of it as well. Bit of trade the bottom side. Gravitum, though, Lwx in trouble, has to dash away. Heal comes out, yuyanjia takes a heavy chunk back at the back end of the play. It's 2 sums for 2 sums.
Yeah, it felt like maybe a little bit of miscoordination there between 1x1 and yuyanjia, because it seems like yuyanjia was very happy to go forward, extend the trade further, whereas 1x1 was done with the trade as soon as the cleanse actually came out. So does force the heal out of the Lulu. Could have been a slightly more positive trade. Still 1-up trade in some of the spells nonetheless.
So spot onto Hacker there. I didn't see it ping, but they must have seen it as he walked over. Player vision. Recall going to come through from yuyanjia. 1xN going to stay in lane though for now, deciding not to head back to base.
I think with Gravitum Infernum, he can clear that wave so quickly that he's actually happy to let Lwx and Chocho like feign that they're going to hard shove that wave in, instantly one-shot it, and then just look for a recall of his own on the cannon wave. And he's not going to be that far behind in tempo, maybe 6 seconds or so. So he feels alright about it. Could even look to push the cannon wave. He's still got ammo in Infernum, but looks like he will just opt for that reset now.
Yeah, you could even leave a couple of minions up on the previous wave, right? So the cannon wave definitely shoves into you, but maybe just it being stationary in the middle is plenty for you. As an all-out comes out from Hoya, Xioalaohu pushed towards his own turret. The needlework is just going to force Hoya away from that one. I like the attempt, but not quite the all-out he was looking for.
No, that's a train ride that I think Xioalaohu was pretty happy to take, as Hoya was very quick to try and just make an exit out. Recognizes that he probably will lose that 1v1. It's a very difficult 1v1 to win, generally, this matchup. The windows in which you can actually look for Gwen are moderately limited. And felt like perhaps he could get him over the wall, isolated, and maybe try and take the 1v1. But as soon as he drops over the wall, just acknowledges that, yeah, this is probably a done deal. Away from that, though, seems like Beichuan wanted to maybe get his hands on this Scuttle Crab. He's definitely not going to get it as first move from Care. And Hacker already being in the river means that he just has to yield that.
Yeah. You can see Lwx and Chocho having massive priority in the bottom side. They've been constantly just pushing TT underneath the tower. Hacker is here. Whether they want to go for a dive, I'm not so sure. It does feel a little dangerous, but they do have Lucian Nami. That's plenty of damage to work with. Noon Quiver in the pocket of Lwx as he'll go towards that Stormrazor first item. Beichuan in the mid lane here. I don't know what he's trying to do there with his jump on cooldown. I'm not sure he's going to be able to do much in the mid lane. Oh, flash! 1xN actually towards Chocho here. Red and white in play as Hacker moves into the lane, but no ultimate. And it means he won't be able to quite close the gap.
No, not quite. Good reaction time, though, from 1x1. 1xN, rather, to not get caught out. Off screen, Beichuan did evolve the claws, so isolation 1v1, really powerful.
Hacker trying to dodge some of the damage there. Level 6 for Beichuan as well. He should be able to just win this Smite fight with his Q combination. As Ucal moves over to the play as well. There it is, Smite takes away the buff. That's 2 buffs so far this game in 8 minutes in favor of Beichuan. I don't think they'll be able to get the big chicken, but I've been wrong before. No, smited by Hacker. The root is going to be there, though, and Hacker might have sacrificed his life for the play. Flash from Beichuan, but it was red buff to get the kill. First blood in the end for TT.
Yeah, good chain of invades. A little bit unfortunate for Beichuan. Just underestimated how much damage red buff would do. Perhaps thought what Hacker would walk away with 1 HP. Definitely understand the flash, but either way, picks up the kill, gets the buff, doesn't quite get the second camp, but will pick up the dragon, and Kha'Zix with the isolated Q gonna tear through this one quite quickly with the Dirk and the longsword on top. We'll even have yuyanjia come over and just assist in a little bit of extra DPS. So everything going the way of TT this time around. Much like game number 1, the laning phases really, really solid. This time, more tangible leads being pulled out of them.
Yeah, certainly. Beichuan grabbing that one. We'll be able to reset, and I think it might finish an item, honestly, with the kill as well. Not 100% sure on that one, but Hacker sort of overcommitting, I think they're overestimating like Care's ability to jump in. And I feel like the Neeko really ruins anything Tristana can do in that kind of 2v2.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of limited in that regard. And I think TT just already having that chain pressure down felt really bad. Lwx gonna blow the cleanse, holds onto his summoner spells. But again, you can see the pressure mounting from the side of Thunder Talk's bottom lane. That's what he was talking about, right? Like the 2v2, sure, you know, Nami Lucian, woo, burst. It's really fun to look at sometimes. But the Aphelios and the Lulu, it can go toe to toe with it. And so far in the CS department, it has been. And it's going to be more about this first item to come in from the bottom side of FPX's. A plate will also go over to 1xN and yuyanjia.
I mean, part of the issue you'll have as well for the Lucian Nami in the actual 2v2 is as soon as Lucian dashes in, he just gets turned into a frog. And frogs aren't that good at burst damage in my experience. So, unless it's one of those like poisonous toads from like the Amazon or whatever. Not that you can order them on Amazon, but you see in the rainforest, you know what I mean. Yeah, so anyway, tough to go for the all-in, especially with the barrier in play for 1xN as well. So really, really tough laning phase. But once you get the Mandate online and the Stormrazor, you go Stormrazor into Gale Force, like, even against the Lulu, even against an Aphelios with barrier, you're still going to pretty much one-shot people. Like, I feel like it's difficult to overstate the amount of burst damage that Lucian Nami does right now when you hit those item spikes. Stormrazor now finished by Lwx.
Yeah, it feels like a solid, somewhere in the realm of like 20% extra damage compared to what it used to do. Right, it's so obnoxious. This is an attempt.
Xioalaohu, who's actually in trouble here. The Shroud already used, but actually the needlework swings that right back around. Those scissors are sharp, I'm telling you. As Hoya does need to be a little cautious that he doesn't overstay his welcome here.
Yeah, definitely does. Just vamping up a bit from Pot's passive as well. We'll just get back up to half HP, but you can see it's one of those things where if Xioalaohu kind of haphazardly blows his immune shield, then yeah, maybe you can find a little bit of reprieve in the 1v1, but it can always be difficult.
Oh,
like the attempt.
Spots him, yeah. Hacker was hit over the wall, won't quite find his window. 2 minutes until Drake as Beichuan just clearing away vision and trying to maintain control of this bottom side of the map. Tidal wave straight onto 1xN. He used his flash earlier and will just get eradicated. Lwx using that culling while it's guaranteed to hit and saving the combo for after the CC.
Yeah, really solid. Herald will get dropped on the backside of this as well. So at the very least, maybe they can squeeze in a third plate, but at the very least 2 will go over. Feels good for Lwx. This is a double teleport. Don't forget, teleport changes, right? These kind of things can happen. Trigger, it seems like, pulled a little bit late. Yeah. Ah, man, I still miss the days of, you know, 5-minute teleport on bot lane play. Bring me back.
I don't miss that. I'm an AD carry player. I hate it.
Bring us the fist fights, man. See,
you're dominating your lane in phase. You've got the better scaling pick as well, and then suddenly their entire team is in your lane. Like, that ain't fun.
Well, whose fault is it for not sweeping the brush and ensuring that they don't get
my support's fault. That's who. Certainly ain't mine. I accept no responsibility for any of these issues.
Man.
Yeah, fantastic little bit of play coming out from FPX. So double TP burn on the bottom side from TT, and they get nothing. And Xioalaohu, in the meantime, just sweeping up plate, sweeping up CS. If he was at all behind before, he certainly isn't anymore. That rhymed, which is fun. But in the meantime, Beichuan doing a fantastic job. We are actually just even in gold across the board, all things considered. I will say Chocho getting the kill, though, can be kind of nice on the Lucian Nami, because it means you get closer to that mandate. Hoya trying to all out, or all in, sorry, on the top side. Snip, snip, needle work. Hoya forced away. Xioalaohu has used that ultimate now, so perhaps Hoya just trying to bait that.
Yeah, it seems like that's what he was up to. Just wanted to ensure that if he can get that ultimate, then he knows he can try and find a window. Like, if he W's him close enough to the wall here, take him all the way out.
Yeah, you are going to get snipped, though. And oh, he flashes over to follow it up. Xioalaohu inside the shroud, though. He might just win this one against Hoya. The snip, about to come off cooldown. Dashes away, doesn't go for it.
Joe, I'm going to be honest. I think if he commits, he finds the 1v1. I think he just kind of just called it a bit early. Didn't want to risk losing the 1v1. Better to be safe than sorry at the end of the day. But definitely almost found his window.
I'd say it's better to be YSKM. That situation, as Care just gets one shot by Beichuan. Nice little play there. And Hacker now could be in trouble because no mid laner for FPX, and Dragon now onto the map. This could be tough to fight.
Yeah, definitely can be. Care no teleport as well, so now that he's dead, he's off the map, not only for the death timer, but 15-20 seconds. Ucal is behind this play.
Oh, yuyanjia's in trouble. No, heals, gets himself out to safety. And in the meantime, Ucal flashing straight on top. Wow. See you later, Chocho. That's some damage out from Ucal.
That was a solo kill, 100-0. I mean, sure, it's Nami, but I wasn't quite expecting that much burst damage out of one combo. And that flank play will find them. Second dragon of the game. Really, really good looks from TT on this one. Not only for the initial pick, but then to also just kind of have this death brush. 3 brushes with no vision that FPX could feasibly work with. Really well done to secure themselves that second dragon of the game.
Yeah, massive, massive moment for them. As Lwx, he's got that Storm Razor, he's got a Zeal as well. Looks like he's going Rapid Fire Cannon second item rather than that Gale Force. As Care does just get absolutely rinsed on that one.
Yeah, it's level 8, level 9, Kha'Zix. Q is dealing so much.
Wait!
If you find yourself by your lonesome, what's up?
Doesn't matter, do the replay first.
Do the replay first, alright. And yeah, Chocho, I think just wants to try and follow up on the mid lane play, but unfortunately just finds himself a little bit too far off the good beaten path towards his team and is picked off on the side.
Yeah, so it turns out I'm telling big fat porkies. Obviously the item's changed. My brain still tells me Gale Force is Noon Quiver. It's not. It's a BF Sword, it's a Zeal now. So he is going towards that Gale Force. I just forgot that they changed all of the build paths of everything. Yep. They changed basically everything in the AD carry role, honestly, during these matches.
Yeah, as a caster, I'm gonna do the thing where casters make the cast about the casters for a second. It can get really frustrating when such a big class of items have their components changed, right? And you have to know everything, kind of. You have to know what goes into what items make what. It will take us some time to readjust, especially because, I mean, how many years did we have it with Noon Quiver going into those mythics?
Oh.
Hello, Care.
Yeah, Care's going to be able to get out with his life, jumps on through, but won't actually go down, and that's the most important thing there. Managing to survive, doesn't have to use any summoners or anything. Yeah, you're right. Like, there's a lot of changes. I think the biggest thing is, like, less about the sheer amount of changes from a casting perspective. Like, I can learn changes. The biggest thing is just, I didn't even look at this patch till after MSI because I didn't want to, like, muddy my view of the game during MSI. So I had 1 week to learn absolutely everything that changed in League of Legends and like, internalize it. That's a lot.
Here's the play joke. Just don't get on MSI, and then you don't have to learn the patch. Oh, hello.
I mean, I wasn't on the evidence of MSI. Hoya all out once again. Xioalaohu, though, with the needlework. Yeah. Swings it back around. I love that these two players are just going ham at each other. Just any opportunity to go, they will go.
Yeah, I can really appreciate the fact that Hoya's like consistently going for the 1v1s. I will kind of state though, I feel like his ultimate, maybe just for the way that TT want to function, is a little bit more important to have than Xioalaohu's. And I think if he's going to look to play for these 1v1s, I think he needs to itemize for it. I think he just needs a Brand so he can actually cut down on the healing, right, that Gwen's doing. If she wants the maximum amount of DPS out of her Q, she has to auto-attack you, right? So you're always going to apply the Grievous Wound, and the armor's also going to just naturally go the distance for dealing with Lwx and Care. So he's going to continue to look to play like this. I think he wants a little bit of Grievous Wounds just to cut down in the 1v1, and it will go a very long way in actually helping him win out if he's going to continue to trade his ults.
Perhaps could be the answer for him. He's just recalling though, but by the looks of things, he's not headed that way. Looking towards MR next. So he already has that Ruby Crystal along with the non-magic lands. But so far so good for TT. They're slowly but surely building themselves a lead, right? Beichuan, 2 items on the Kha'Zix, and you know, we've been talking a lot about how strong lethality is in the game right now. Kha'Zix was already getting picked at MSI before the lethality buffs across items, so feels like Kha'Zix should be in a very good spot in the meta. This is the first time we're seeing it today, but I fully anticipate that we'll see plenty more of it, to be honest.
I'm there with you. I think it's going to be a very, very long set of seeing that as...
Yeah, I feel like that was trying to bait, but Hoya just kind of loses the trade outright. There's minion wave, so there's no ISO damage. So, in fact, you know what? My brain told me that was Beichuan at the brush. That was yuyanjia. Yuyanjia cannot do much in that fight. Yuyanjia ain't bringing anything to that table.
No, he's not. Not to that. Not to that scrap. That's for sure. I think right now, FPX kind of happy with the map staying as it is, right? It's a little open. The pace of it has slowed down, and I think if I'm Care, I might just stay top. Maybe look to fight on the next dragon. I feel like the fact that TT have so much control, it's just going to make it impossible to actually contest this without giving up too much. So stay away.
I think he might have a big item. He's recalling right now, has TP available. You can see like Lwx scoreline in a similar spot, and he's finished off his Gale Force. Won't quite get it, but he does get Merc Treads as well as the BF Sword.
Yeah, so the difference between Lwx and Care is that Lwx has the magical footwear. Yeah. Just gonna be about enough. They'll put the Herald down in the mid lane, so they're not gonna contest the dragon, which is good. Can they kill the tower right before the Herald charge? No, that kind of feels a bit bad, but they'll still get the second one, surely. It's about what TT can actually do about this. Seems like they'll just get the second charge and leave, so tower.
I mean, TT have already done their work. TT have got the dragon, right? Like, that's the sole point for TT. And with a Kha'Zix that is very good, I'd argue one of the best in the world.
No way.
Sneaking Lwx spots it, but Ucal still gets the knock up, and see ya later, Jojo. Just eradicated 1-for-1 though as it turns back around. And well, we get some shenanigans out from Ucal on the Neeko.
It finally happened. We had the minion catch someone out. I mean, it was a 1-for-1 in the end. I feel like Hoya kind of just donated his life for not much a good reason, but hey, at the end of the day, it looked cool. And we got to finally see Neeko do the Neeko thing. See how many more times it will catch people out throughout the remainder of the year, and being meta as Beichuan.
I think Beichuan wins this, right? Without ultimate in play? Oh no, the damage ain't there. Beichuan doesn't win this one, especially with Lwx flashing over the wall to put a couple of bullets into him.
Was really unfortunate, I think. I'm not entirely sure how the start of that skirmish actually played off, but towards the end of it, there was a couple of minions which were still aggroed. Maybe they were just walking past, maybe the play started inside the wave, I'm not entirely sure, but it was actually keeping Xioalaohu out of being isolated, and if you can step up as Kha'Zix with 2.5 items and just press your Q key, you're going to deal 500 damage, bare minimum, even to a target with armor. So, with the jungler dead, FPX just say, yep, Baron's on the cards.
And they've got 280 carries in a Gwen, so it ain't exactly a slow Baron. We need a miracle for TT. They've got to find something special. The Buster Shot with the bubble sends Hoya packing. Baron taking an FPX now with a 4v5 on their hands. They want a little bit more. Xioalaohu, in there. And Neeko taken down before the Pop Blossom can even pop. Xioalaohu trying to chase down Care as well. As Hoya, the front line here, actually dashes forward, jumps into the play. He's lost his mind. He's gone completely insane. He goes down, and now with Baron and a bonus pick staggered. Maybe they can look for more. No, reset through.
Am perplexed, my boy Joe. I don't know what he saw, but we didn't see it. That's for sure. As look at this T-Tors. I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm just gonna let the beautiful replay roll. A little knock up.
It's very silly.
It's very silly, isn't it? Like, it's just goofy looking. I think.
Well, let's rewatch the fight first. No one's talking.
Yeah. So this could have maybe been an issue if, yeah, the one shot from Ucal doesn't immediately come down, because there was pretty solid guns there between the Infernum and the Gravitum when they're kind of funneling into that choke to maybe find an avenue. Plus, I'm not sure if Hoya feels like they're gonna just jump in.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, the rest of the team was like
come in at the same time. Yeah, really
like
awkward. Really, really awkward. But at the very least, Hoya not on the same page as the rest of his team. Goes back in, dies with his. I don't know. Yeah, just dies.
I will say, at least we got to see an Inherent Glamour play that wasn't just Forge messing around with it in the laning phase, you know? Like, that was actually a good initiation from Ucal using the Inherent Glamour. Unfortunately, it was a good note, because now FPX breaking that base wide open, and Beichuan is not respecting the fact that they might just be able to end the game right here. They've got 280 carries in the Gwen, Baron buff, and they still have minions alive. There's one tower down, the TP coming on through as Hoya knocked up. The double wave is there, and Xioalaohu trying to finish with the needlework. Another wave arrives on scene. The buster shot ruins Ucal. Couple more hits on the tower would do the trick, but they're going to wait for the next wave now as they clear these minions. No care, just takes the tower down anyway. They can clear the minions, they can wait for the next wave, or they can just walk forwards. No towers left. Surely, that's it. Surely, FPX finish this one off in style, but it's not over just yet. 1xN still going strong. Half health on the Nexus. LWX against Beichuan. They finish it off. And FPX 2-0 in their first series.
Great first showing here from FPX. Very, very good looks, especially from where they were in spring. Clean up TT fairly convincingly, especially the mid games were so decisive. This game barely had a mid game. 24 minutes, I think, on the clock when the Nexus falls, and TT just didn't really look for too much proactive. It felt like just all on different pages, whereas FPX making coordinated plays across the map time and time again. I'm very happy to allow whatever TT were doing to just kind of fall in their laps.
Yeah, I mean, FPX,